Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back on most fun part of the week for me. I know you get a life, but this is my life. I love it. I'm in the studio here with a team of close associates that have been doing this for a long time together. And we're your automotive team is to help you buy a car, lease a car. Actually, we don't want to help you buy or lease a car today because it's a terrible time to buy or lease a car, but we can explain that, and we can explain when it is a good time, and maintaining, repairing, leasing, fixing, the whole 9 yards. We're going to, basically in a nutshell, it sounds a little cruel, but how not to get ripped off by a car dealer, or for that matter, independent repair shops and things like this. You heard the introduction recorded a minute ago, and we're diversified in here. We've got Nancy Stewart, who's my co-host, co-founder of the show, actually, many, many years ago. She's our female advocate, speaking pretty much directly to the ladies in the audience. We're trying to bring the automobile dealers of the world along to the 21st century with everybody else, and part of that is including women. And to my right, I've got Rick Kearney. I call him a computer auto specialist. He's also an electronics expert. There's still some mechanical things going on with cars, so he's got that. He's been doing this for over a quarter century, and we've been together for about that period of time, and he's the best I know. He's when you call this show, and we encourage you to call Rick at this show, 877-960-9960, and we're going to give you a bunch of other ways to reach us, but that telephone number is 877-960-9960, and let us know what's wrong with your car. Is something that got you worried? We're advising you, by the way, to keep the car a while longer. We've been saying that for a long, long time now because we kept thinking prices were going to come down on new and used cars. Well, they are coming down on used. That's the good news. They're not down far enough, but they're coming down. New cars, a little bit. But they're still both too pricey. So we advise you to keep your old car. Give it a few more months at least, and then consider buying to get a much better price. But how do you keep that old clunker running? And I'm being a little facetious. I hope you don't drive an old clunker. But the car you're driving, you can make it last another 6 months. You can be comfortable and safe if you have the knowledge as to what needs to be done. Rick Kearney will diagnose your problem, and you can verbally describe it to him, calling the show at 877-960-9960. And he monitors the YouTube channel, by the way. That's youtube.com/Earl on cars, youtube.com/Earl on cars. He monitors that, so you can speak directly to him even while I'm yakking. You can talk to him and post on YouTube and tell him what's wrong. You can actually send him a video clip or an audio clip, and that would really help him give you a specific diagnosis, and it's free. And he's about 99% good on knowing the answers, and the 1%, we go to Google. The whole world is going to Google. In fact, you can go to Google, and amazing answers you'll be able to find there. You got my son Stu Stewart sitting across the aisle for me here. He's in charge of our most famous, popular segment of the show, and that's the Mystery Shopping Report. And boy, have we got one for you today. I say that almost every week, but we're rarely shocked. We were shocked. Nancy, Stu, and I, and Rick, I don't know if you knew about it, but you'll be shocked when you hear about it. But we have a wowzer. And we're going to, a lot of dealers out there and a lot of other people think, why are you even going to talk about this? Well, we talk about everything. We talk about things that make us look good, things that make us look bad, things that don't make any difference. We just want to tell you the truth. And that's what we're doing. We're going to tell you the truth today about a mystery shopping report that was embarrassing to some members of the group. I'll leave it. I want to be a little bit vague about it. I want to save the excitement for the last part of the show. That'll be the last half hour of the show that we do the mystery shopping report. So,
okay, I'm going to interrupt you this morning. Our
please
lines
do.
are lit up,
Oh, wow.
and we are ready to go.
Let's hit the phones.
Phil. Good morning. Phil's calling us from Jupiter.
Yes, good morning. I'm a long-time listener, and I'm also a customer of yours. And I bought my 2017 Prius in for a problem I've been healing. It was making a squealing noise when I started it up, and it comes and goes, and it's been going on for a month. So I brought it in for diagnostic being done on it Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony's my advisor, and I do what y'all said. I took my phone and made a copy of the noise so they could hear it. And then I'll just read you what they found out on it. The tech found that there was an AC blend door making noise during startup due to low battery voltage. And they replaced the battery. It was under warranty, and everything was fine. So I get yesterday. I started driving it in the afternoon. All of a sudden, it's still making that noise a little bit. And I just wondered maybe Rick could give me some guidance on what they think that could be now.
If that sounds coming from an AC blend door, then it's probably going to be the blend door itself. I've never heard of a low voltage issue actually causing a blend door to make noise.
Okay, for a person who is not mechanically inclined, me, what are we talking about here?
When you first start the car up, the air conditioning will adjust the doors to determine where the airflow is going and the temperature of the air and all that. There's different doors in the box that it will move by way of little actuators, little motors that will just move in various places.
The doors where?
In the air conditioning evaporator box under the dash.
Did you know any of this, too?
No.
I didn't either.
Well,
So-
I wasn't listening. What?
Well, I love listening to Rick. I learn something new every day. Thanks for the question, Phil. I'm the dealer and I'm learning. So go ahead.
The fact that they found the battery bad, now a bad battery can cause some odd issues, and so it's certainly possible. But sometimes what we think is the answer, there's sometimes also an underlying answer as well. Probably one of those blend doors is starting to stick a little bit. Maybe the wasn't adequately greased from the factory, so over the years that grease has worked its way out, or maybe some debris got in there, a little bit of dirt or something. And so when the door is trying to move, it's actually making some noise because of that dirt or something. We'd have to actually get in and really dig around to try to figure out what part is causing that noise. And unfortunately, sometimes with intermittent noises like that can take quite a while because you've got to actually see or feel what is moving when that noise is occurring. And if the noise isn't happening right then,
Well, let me ask you a question
it can be almost impossible.
that Phil may be thinking. Phil, are you thinking this? Am I going to have to pay again? Or was this covered under warranty? It was covered under warranty?
Well, he said the battery,
covered under
Phil,
warranty.
the battery was covered under warranty, right?
Okay, so there was no charge.
It's
Okay.
no charge.
So we basically misdiagnosed this. It happens, right?
Well,
So-
yeah. And it may have been that we found an issue that we thought was causing it,
And it wasn't.
and it wasn't. But, granted, I don't want to say no harm, no foul, because
So it cost Toyota
it didn't
money
cost
because
the-
Toyota had to pay for the battery, but because
Right.
it was under warranty, didn't cost Phil any money. So now it might cost Phil money if we have to go back and do what the problem really was.
Right. And of course, obviously his time and effort, for having to drive all the way to the dealership and back, I understand that too. But, sometimes we do make mistakes. We are human, but we probably also saved him a hassle too by finding a battery that was getting ready to fail completely on him.
We're going to give you a car to drive, so there'll be no charge because we should have done that. But apparently, Rick is saying it was a misdiagnosis, an honest mistake, and now we have to find the real cause. And
if that noise is coming back on you, if it's coming back at a regular point, just come on back in and we'll take a look at it again.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to make an appointment with Anthony for next week and have him come in because I don't live that far from you. It's not a big deal. And have him look at it. And like you said, maybe it's the blend door sticking or something. That's what I'm thinking too, because it looked different. This time it came on, and it didn't. Usually it was after I pushed the start button, and then it would do it. But now it just came on when I was just driving down the road. So it looks like they touched something on there, so I think you got it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, Phil.
So,
By the way, Rick is probably I brag on him as being a great technician, but he's probably the world's greatest Prius technician. We've been
Okay, sure.
for so long, so he's been to more Prius schools than anybody in the world, I think. So he really knows how to work on this vehicle. So we'll get it fixed for you.
Hey,
Okay.
hey
Well, thanks a
Phil,
lot. I appreciate
I
it.
want to commend you for using your phone. I've told everyone all the time, and so have all of us here at Earl Stewart on Cars. What a great device. Isn't it great that you can record a noise, and it just makes it a lot easier for that technician? I'm glad you did that.
Well, Anthony took it on his phone, and he had it right in there for the technician to hear. So that really worked.
Yeah, it definitely works. Whomever did it. Phil, thank you so much for the phone call.
Okay.
Look forward
Thank
to
you.
talking to you again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
877-960-9960. And you can definitely text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, remember $50 for the first 2 new lady callers this morning. Remember the cardinal rule. When you go into a dealership, don't forget the cardinal rule. You got to do your homework. We're going to go to Bob, who is holding from Lake Park, and Victoria from Wellington. Please hold on. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone this morning?
Good.
Great.
Yes. I have a question for Rick. It's an air conditioning question. I've had a car. I bought it new. Had it for a number of years. I never really used the air conditioning very much. I'm more of the type of person who likes to drive with their windows down. For the last couple of years, I've been using it, and I noticed, and this has been happening since I bought the car, that in the mornings when I turn the AC on, it's ice cold. But then if I put it on in the summertime when it's 100 degrees outside, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the air that comes out is much more muted. Why is that?
First one, which one? What year's the car? What's the vehicle we're talking of?
It's a 2015 Mustang.
Oh, okay. And is it the volume of air that seems to be less, or the temperature of the air?
No. The temperature.
The
It's ice cold in the mornings.
Yeah.
It blows ice cold. But if it's 100 degrees outside and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it's really hot, the air that comes out is not at the same temperature.
Okay. And
it's been doing that. It's been doing that ever since I had the car. I mean,
Yeah.
but I never really bothered me because I never used. Like I said, I didn't really use the AC for like the first 5 years. The last couple of years, I've been using it in the summertime, July and August.
Right. Does it get down to get cold after a while?
No, it's just more muted. It doesn't get cold after a while. No, but if I go the next morning. And I put it on the next morning, and I put it on if I'm going to go to Publix or something early. I like to shop early. It's ice cold.
Well,
So why is that? And I've talked to other people, and they say they had the same thing with their vehicles.
yeah.
So it has something to do with the recirculated air that goes through the car.
The major thing here is just the laws of thermodynamics, and that is that the air that you have in the morning is usually drier air, and
Right.
it's much easier for the system to remove the heat from that air. You kind of have to picture it as like being light and dark. There's no such thing as turning on the darkness. You're turning on light, and you can get a brighter light or a dimmer light. Well, the same thing with heat. You can't actually make things cold. You can simply remove heat from them or add heat to it. So that air that's drier air earlier in the morning, it's easier for the system to remove the heat from it and get it much cooler by taking a lot more heat away from it. But in the afternoons, when it's 95, 100 degrees out, there is so much heat in that air, plus the humidity and moisture, that system really just can't remove all the heat from that air. And even in recirculate mode, it can take quite a while before it will bring that temperature down by removing the heat from the air. It's just that's thermodynamics and its laws of nature.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was Earl, I took my car over to get it appraised because I found something I thought I'd like to buy. And I walk into this dealership, no one's wearing masks. There was one salesman that totally ignored me. I'm standing out there for like 7 or 8 minutes, and even when I walked into the showroom, and then when I had them look at the car, they drove the car and everything. They lowballed me on the on the sale. I wasn't trading it in. I was just asking them what they would give me for the car.
Mm-hmm.
They lowballed me not only on the vehicle. They told me my air conditioning didn't work. After I explained to them what the system is, that it blows cold. I happened to go over there at 3:00 in the afternoon, so it was very hot, and it was blowing, and it's blowing a muted air. It's not real ice cold air.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me the AC didn't work, and then they lowballed me on the value of the car.
Yeah.
So I thought that was odd.
Well, that's the old games. There's no retail business in the world that plays old games like the car dealers, and that's old school. Lowball the trade, tell the customer there's something wrong with the car that's not really wrong with the car, and they call it stealing the trade, and that's what they were trying to do.
I know. I've heard you use that term before. Do you want to know who it was?
Please, tell us.
Okay. It was Earl Stewart.
Really? Well, you got me there. Can you give me? I'll tell you what. If you can give me the names of the people that lied and cheated you from my dealership, give it to me after the show. I will take immediate action. I appreciate the call. I have to assume that you're being totally honest with me, and I'm sure you are.
Absolutely. Well, there's only one person that works there, I think, that appraises. There's only one person that actually does the appraisal on the car.
Yeah, we have several people who do appraisals. So, if you could tell me the name of the person, can you give it to me?
I didn't get his name. I got the name of one person, but he wasn't the one that actually, went to the computer and punched it in and took the car for a ride.
Okay. Okay. Well, you give me all the details. You give me all the details, and we'll take immediate action. You have my sincere apology.
And we'll follow up on this, Bob. You can give us a call back. Thank you.
I have to take it to a couple other places. I haven't had a chance to do that. Yours was the first I took it to, but I know you said always get three appraisals, so I'm going to do. I'm going to actually get 4 of them.
Would you mind giving your contact information to the Jeremy in the control room so I can contact you?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well, you do that because I want to be sure you're a real person and not a competitor calling up to make me look bad on the air. And I know that's not the case, but by knowing your name and telephone number, I'll be sure of that.
I've called your show a number of times.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Well, thank you, Bob. And I'll look for your contact information with Jeremy in the control room. Hang on. Don't hang up now.
Okay.
Thank you,
very
Bob.
much.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, folks. Before we go any further, I'd love to let the audience know that Earl and I had a speaking engagement on Thursday at the Rotary Club in Wellington. And gosh, what a great group of people. I can't repeat everyone's name, remember, but there was Susan and Tiffany and Victoria and the guys, Mickey, Scott, all of you. What a great time we had out there. And we'd love to come back out again. And we are getting the wheels turning as far as speaking engagements are concerned for Earl and I. And it includes groups of people, senior citizens. It could be anyone. And you can get in touch with us a number of ways, most of all going to our Facebook and Earl on Cars. That would be a great way to do it. We're going to go to Victoria, who is calling us from Wellington. Good morning, Victoria.
Hi, Victoria. Before we start chatting, I'd like to give a little background. Victoria and I have been conversing by text since January of this year, and she's been going through a lot of efforts with attorneys and staying on top of the Federal Trade Commission. She read my column many months ago, and has been thinking about calling the show, and we've talked about it week in and week out. But she's very well read. She's on top of things in terms of what is happening with the Federal Trade Commission and some of the predatory tricks and practices of car dealers. Very, very educated consumer. she basically dealt with us 441 Nissan, and I believe, Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, and had a really terrible experience. And she's working through the legal system now, and she's not going to give up until she gets a fair settlement for what they did to her. So did I get that generally right, Victoria?
You did, and it's not just for me; it's for everybody else. Because
Sure.
I can't be the only person that they did this to, from what I can tell.
I'm sure.
In my studies, and the state of Florida auto vehicle regulatory group did fine and cite after months. They fined and cited 441 Nissan, but it's not their job to get people's money back. That's a legal matter, and that has to be decided in court. So my goal is to try to find other people who bought cars there and who, through electronic signatures and other deceitful practices, had their charges for their cars, instead of what they agreed to pay, some other higher number that they got hooked into, so that we can get together and do something about this legally.
Like a class action.
Well, or I would say a mini class action at the very least. Now that the Federal Trade Commission has fined Napleton $10 million, I think we have a lot of precedent for this kind of action.
Yes.
If we can just find out who the people are and all of us can get together, we would, us, one person can't do anything, but several of us could do something.
Well, Victoria, you're absolutely right. One of the just apathy is one of the biggest problems. Sometimes when people are taken advantage of, they're embarrassed and they don't want to talk about it. They just go home and fume and get angry. I salute you and I admire you for standing up. You were taken advantage of, and you're the car dealer's worst nightmare. You're a consumer that got taken advantage of, and you're talking about it, and you're not embarrassed. You're looking at what they've done to so many others who are afraid to talk about it. So how do you suggest we go about, you've got a pretty good audience out there now. We're talking about Southern 441 Nissan, and they're in West Palm Beach, or they're off of Southern Boulevard, I believe, and near Wellington, actually. And they've taken advantage, I'm sure, of others besides you. How can we get the listeners out there to contact you, or maybe through the show, and as you accumulate the names, then you can furnish them to your attorneys? Does that sound like the way you want to go?
Yes, I actually have an attorney who would handle the case, who's pretty good at what he does. The thing is that most attorneys, in fact, all of them that I contacted, including legal aid, they won't take the case because there's not enough money in it for them. And
Yes.
I find that to be very, very unconscionable.
I agree.
I was a fraud examiner for many years for a major corporation, and I know how to get details. I know how to find out the documents. I know what to ask for in a subpoena case, which I would be able to relay to my attorney. I think it would be better if people contacted you, Earl, and we could somehow get a pool of people, and it might not just be 441 Nissan. Terry Taylor is one of the largest car dealers in the country, and it's not just Nissan, the R41 that he has under his wing. I mean, there could be many people that are out there who could contact you, and we could get some names together, and I will volunteer to talk to everybody and get the details and get things set up.
Victoria, do I have your permission to give people that contact the show your number, or would you just prefer to get their number and me give it to you?
I'd rather that they gave it to you and then
Okay.
you gave it to me, if that would be possible.
I'll be happy to do that. So, again, you listening out there, we've got 20, 30,000 people listening. We're all over the country. We're talking mainly South Florida because this is a South Florida dealership. So, if you've done business with a Napleton dealership, I say Napleton, this is a Terry Taylor dealership now, right?
Well, this is Nissan, but he has other I think he has other dealerships other than Nissan cars, but he's not Napleton. He's Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor,
but this
okay.
is 441 Nissan.
Yeah.
And it's a guy by the name of Mike Panaccio.
Very good. Yes, that's correct. Southern 441, they were formerly owned by Penske, and then they sold to Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor, by the way, to a lot of people listening, he is the largest private owner of car dealerships in the United States, probably the least familiar name to anyone. He is like a Howard Hughes kind of a personality. He stays underground, quiet. He lives in Palm Beach, I believe. He's one of the wealthiest auto dealers anywhere. And he goes to extraordinary lengths to hide his name as an owner. I have another attorney that's called me, and I really had to do a lot of detective work. I actually had to go through some associates, friends that actually were limited partners for Terry Taylor to find out if he had ownership in a particular dealership. But he covers his tracks, and I think by going after him, Victoria, and by using his name, that will be a good lever for your attorney. I think Terry Taylor just may want to settle this if it looks like you're going to be successful in getting enough names for a class action. Because once it hits the class action status, his anonymity will go away and everybody will know about him. So you folks out there, if you've had a bad dealing with Southern 441 Nissan, they're on Sullivan Boulevard in West Palm Beach. They're owned by a man named Terry Taylor that you don't know his name because he keeps it a secret. Just remember, Southern 441 Nissan. If you'll contact the show and let us know that you're willing to go into a class action suit, I'll pass your name along to Victoria, who has an attorney ready to go as long as he can get enough people interested, so he'll be able to make a payday. And I guess you can't blame a lawyer. They can't work for free. So we need some names of people willing to stand up and go after Southern 441 Nissan.
Victoria. Well, let me say to you, Mike Canacho also has the dealership on, I think it's on Lake Worth Road, or maybe Forest Hill, the Green Acres Nissan. But what you need to do is have all of your papers, and I will be able to help you put things together, because I've already done this research for more than a year, and I think it can be successful.
I agree with you, Victoria, and you bringing this to the attention of our audience this morning, it just says volumes about the consumer being taken advantage of. And that $10 million that you mentioned that Nableton had to settle for, that's pocket change. And it's certainly indicative of a deeply flawed system. And if we don't all come together, nothing can be done about this ongoing problem, taking advantage of everyone, not just women. And I thank you for the phone call.
Right. Well, one last thing. I'd like to point out that there are Florida statutes in place that talk about this specifically, that they violated. It's just a matter of getting into court and pointing that out. So maybe people could get their money back. It might be a few thousand and it might be many thousand, but you should be getting your money back. It's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
The right thing to do, Victoria. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.
We'll bring this up every week, Victoria. We're not going to let this die, and we'll do our best to get some people to go along with the class action. Thanks so much for your call.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, 77960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to stay with the phones that are very busy this morning. I encourage the first two new female callers to give us a call. You can win yourself $50 this morning. We're going to go to John in Palm City. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everyone. I have two simple questions to Rick. One is the manufacturer on the brake pads. They don't use, I'm sure, the most expensive material. So when the car gets new brake pads again, does it pay to get a better quality brake pad, one that has a harder lining on it, or what? Or continue with the manufacturer what he had, because it's probably a softer stop when you press to get the brake pedal? What's Rick's opinion? Can you get up? And I know they make better grades. Would it pay to get the better grade of brake pad lining?
Not necessarily. brake pads actually work by rubbing a softer material against a steel rotor. So when you buy brake pads that say those semi-metallic or metallic brake pads, and they look they're incredible because they got all that metal in them and everything. Basically what they're doing is they're wearing down the brake rotor itself. Now here in South Florida, brake rotors are thick enough from the manufacturer that when you have a brake job done, we can grind that rotor on a brake lathe, clean up its surface, and reuse that same rotor multiple times. Brake rotors can last 150 to 200,000 miles on the average car, depending on how much wear they get, and still be usable. Brake pads, however, are meant to be worn out, and the original factory material is generally a little bit softer because that means less noise and better heat distribution so that it doesn't wear down the rotors. The brake pads are expensive. The rotors are 3 times as expensive. So I would much rather replace the brake pads a little more often and not have to replace those brake rotors that are much more expensive.
Second part of the question, particularly foreign cars, Mercedes, BMW, it seems like they get more brake dust on the aluminum wheels than the American cars. And what suggestion do you have when this brake dust gets on? It's almost like impossible to remove it. Is there a special cleaner that you recommend that you can clean the wheel to get rid of the brake dust?
Not really a cleaner, but my recommendation is when you have your car serviced, ask them to wax the wheels. Any sort of car wax, the dust won't be able to stick to it as easily, and it'll wash off a lot easier.
Wax the
Okay,
wheels.
what's something
As
about
silly
like
as it sounds,
a brake
the rims.
carburetor cleaner? Would that do a pretty decent job?
It would also eat away at the rims and eat away at your brake rotors, causing corrosion, and could eat away the rubber parts behind on the caliper. So I would recommend avoid any sort of acid or carburetor cleaner, anything like that at all. Never use that on your wheels.
Well, your suggestion about waxing it is an excellent suggestion, and I'm going to do that on my car because I get that brake, like everybody else does, the brake dust, and it's extremely hard to remove it. And I didn't want to do any chemical until I spoke to you.
Do you have to dismount the tire?
Wow.
Nope. You simply take just ordinary wax, car wax, and just like you would on the painted surface, you just put it on the surfaces of the rim that you don't want to have, the dust to stick to. Let it dry just like normal and buff it off.
How much would that cost?
Hey, if you're having your car detailed, they might charge you an extra $10 or $15.
Wow. I tell you what,
Yeah.
I wish I'd met you 50 years ago instead of 25.
Rick, that's something major that I always have done when I have my car washed or detailed. The tires are so important, and you have to be able to protect everything on your vehicle.
And another item, I'm not a big fan of when they detail your car, of spraying the tire dressing on the tires.
No.
The spray they put on there.
It
looks so pretty for the first hour
it
or two.
creates problems.
Because it's all black and shiny and clean. And basically that stuff gets inside on the brakes.
Yeah.
And it can actually cause a little bit of increased noise from your brakes for a while. But also the dirt and dust from the road then sticks to that on the tires and just creates this nasty thick layer on the tires.
Yeah,
It
it's
gets
like
all
caulking
over.
on your windows.
Yeah.
I mean, it just builds up, and it's just amazing. Great advice, Rick. John, do you have any other questions?
Suggestion. That's why we all listen to Earl Stewart on cars.
Oh, you're amazing, John. We love you. We love
Thank you,
hearing
guys.
from you.
Thank you.
Give us
Thank
a call
you for
again.
being there. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960. And you can also text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, again, first 2 new lady callers, give us a call. You can win yourself $50 this morning. We're going to go to Van, who's calling from Jupiter.
Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Hello, studio.
Hey.
Quick question.
Okay.
I have a 2015 Toyota Prius, and how long does the spare tire last in the vehicle before it has to be replaced?
There's a date code on it, Van, and it's coded. And in a minute, I'll let Rick give you that code, secret code. But the Department of Transportation says 6 years is you shouldn't be buying a tire that's 6 years old or older. And so I would check the date on it. You can look for cracks in the tire and inspect the tire. But if that spare's been there, you said you've got a 2013.
2015.
With 15, you're right at the time now where you probably ought to take a look at that spare. Rick, what do you think?
Well, actually, you're unlikely to find. I don't think I've ever noticed the DOT code on a spare. I'm actually going to have to look at that because
you're talking about the Space Saver.
Right, the Space Saver donut spare.
You're exactly right. But that's a good question.
Yeah, but because that spare is generally enclosed in the trunk, where you're not getting any sort of UV light on it, it's not exposed to the weather, to water, or anything like that. It's very well protected.
So just inspecting it physically, have a tire guy, someone look at it, say, does this look okay to you? And the answer is probably is okay.
And also checking the tire pressure in it quite often.
Yeah.
At least once every couple months.
The tire pressure I keep at 65 like they call for. So I do that.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, thank you, man. That's an interesting question, and a lot of people don't think about their spare. I wasn't thinking about it because when you say tire, I think of a full-size spare, and they don't have those anymore. So,
well, you don't even have a spare,
right?
Van, it was great hearing from you. Don't be a stranger. Stay in touch.
I've been listening weekly, so I appreciate your show very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Van.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Dawn, who's calling from Tampa. Good morning, Dawn.
Yes, good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Good. Listen, we love your show. My wife and I listen to it, and I guarantee you we love everything that you have to say. And we set our alarm clock so we don't miss the show. That's how much we like it.
So do I.
Sorry. I do have a question for you. Earl, I listened to you, and 2 years ago I called in and asked you about buying a van that we could convert to a handicap van. And you suggested Toyota. I'm tickled to death that I listened to you. We had a new Toyota converted 2 years ago and have had zero problems with it.
Great.
I do have a question.
Oh.
When the companies convert these vans into a handicap wheelchair accessible van, that van is lowered to the ground. It's lower than it normally would be. And so with the new vehicles coming out that are all electric, and they put the battery stack underneath that vehicle, how are they going to be able to make a conversion van with all those batteries in the way?
Great question.
Yeah.
That's one for the engineers. They're going to have to figure something out because, like on a normal van right now, such as a Sienna, I'm guessing the caller purchased a Sienna to have it converted. They actually moved the fuel tank and put it back behind the back bumper so as to be able to have that increased floor space. For an electric, wow. Some of the engineers are going to have to figure that out. That's something they've got to work on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. You know, we're going to try to keep this thing at least 10 years.
Yeah.
But at some point, we'll have to switch off in the future and get probably something that's got some sort of electric power to it somewhere. And so I'm just curious as to what they would do and where they put the batteries and how they can make that work.
Well, there are people thinking about this, though, because I think they're still making, but General Motors for a while was making a vehicle called the MPV. And this was actually a four-door vehicle, but it was specific, actually a five-door, it had a hatchback on. It was specifically designed as a wheelchair accessible mobile vehicle. The whole design right from the beginning was designed to be able to be accessible for wheelchairs. And I thought it was a fantastic idea, and something that every manufacturer should consider is the idea of, producing a vehicle that can handle wheelchairs and make it more accessible for folks that need it. I mean, that's something that would just, to me, would sell extremely well for that niche crowd. I mean, I don't mean to kind of, declassify anything, but it just,
Yeah.
there is a need for it.
Yeah, Don,
and someone should step up and
Don,
fill it.
I just Googled this question, and usually I always find the answers. This isn't very encouraging. The first thing I found was electric vehicles are the future for everyone except disabled people. Electric vehicles with batteries in the floor could be difficult to convert for wheelchair users, and it goes on there. So you've hit on a huge problem that I haven't even thought about. Hopefully other people listening out there, engineers and manufacturers, if they hear about this, there's a problem that needs a solution, and apparently no one's found it yet.
Yeah, I would like to take a second, if I could, just to throw out a hint to people that might be looking into a conversion van. I did a lot of research on the different companies that convert a van to handicap, and almost all of the companies who want to do an electrical conversion so that one pushes a button and the ramp slides out electronically. I was looking for one that was a manual one because we had friends that had an electric one, got out and got stuck, couldn't get the ramp to go in or out of the door, and had to call a wrecker to come and move the vehicle.
Wow.
So I wanted a manual ramp that I could pull out manually and push back in when I'm finished with it manually. And I found a company in Phoenix, Arizona, which is VMI, and they did a fantastic job. We were super happy. The van and everything on it works just perfectly like the day we got it 2 years ago.
Great.
So if someone is looking for a handicapped vehicle, I would definitely look into VMI in terms of one that's not electric.
Don, let me go. Do you have the full name there? Let's give it to everyone listening.
Yes, it's Vantage Mobility International.
Okay. And they're where?
They're in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, great. Well, you folks out there that...
What made me think about this, Earl, was I watched a video of them doing our van, and they go inside and completely cut out the bottom of the floor of the van. They're inside the van, standing on the concrete.
Wow.
They completely do the whole floor.
Wow.
And so I was talking to the wife, and I said, well, what's going to happen with the battery situation? And I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, you sure hit on a big problem. I hate to think that the manufacturers could have overlooked this issue. And as I say, I Googled it. Usually you can find just about anything on Google, and it's scary to think that no one has thought about this, because there's a van is something that a handicapped person needs, and pretty soon, I say pretty soon, maybe not real soon, but in 20 years you're not going to be able to buy a regular van. Probably they'll all be EV.
Yeah.
So great question, and I really appreciate the call, and thanks for being such loyal listeners. You and your wife, we appreciate that.
Yeah, Don, thanks so much, and what a great call. You brought a lot of important issues to our audience, and thank you for the Vantage Mobility that you mentioned. Give us a call again.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Speaking of EVs, I have a question for everyone. Earl and I were talking this morning, and we thought that you might, weigh in on electric vehicles. And all electric vehicle, do you see yourself purchasing an all-electric vehicle in, say, 5 years? Mm-hmm. Give us a call, 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Also, you can send a message to YouTube to Rick. Get in touch with Stu's taking care of all of the texts that are coming in from Facebook. And I think that we've reached a calm as far as the phone calls are concerned. So who wants to go first?
I want to. Well,
Okay.
Anne-Marie wants to go first.
Okay. Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie says, good morning. Decades ago, all cars came with a full-size spare tire. Nowadays, few cars have any kind of spare tire. Since you are a Toyota dealer, Earl, I'll keep my questions limited to Toyotas. Are there any Toyotas with a full-size spare? Yes, Rick. They are the trucks, correctly? Forerunners, Tacomas, Tundras.
Tundras, Tacomas, Forerunners, Sequoias, Land Cruisers.
And
However,
not Highlanders.
not Highlanders.
Right.
However, bear in mind that they're still meant as a spare. Therefore, they do not have a tire sensor in most of them,
Okay.
which I think was a huge failure on the part of Toyota, because when they first came out with tire pressure sensors in the wheels, they had one in the spare
Yeah.
and was fantastic because so many people never checked the spare tire.
Right.
So the light would come on and you could check, if
Yeah.
the other four are good, then check
As
the
opposed
spare.
to finding out on a trip later on down the road.
Exactly.
When you have a flat tire. Yeah, that was a mistake for sure. I guess it's a cost savings measure, I assume. Okay.
They saved them about $30 per car.
Well, they sell millions of cars. So, I don't agree with it, but that's probably why. Okay, second question from Emery. How many models come with the donut spare? I don't even know, because I know it's a mixture of patch kits and...
Yeah, not quite all of them anymore now. A bunch of them have no spare at all.
It's just
The
the
Prius
patch.
Prime, plug-in Prius, a couple others.
I'm trying to think. I don't...
In
you're
the
right.
day, Rick, in the day, that donut would take you how far? I never used it to
For
go
the most
very
parts,
far, maybe to a gas station. And that was it.
Donut spares are rated that at a minimum, they will do up to about 50 to 60 miles at 50 to 60 miles per hour. This is stated right on the tire, so that is their minimum that they are safe to do. You can get away with a little longer if you need to, but if you do have to use it for that amount, it should then be considered
will it go
replaced.
100 miles if you go 100 miles an hour?
Probably not.
I just, my theory is that the donut is there for a reason. It's temporary.
Yeah, it's
And
an
I
emergency.
just-
Get you down to the road to the next gas station.
and
to
that's what I
get your
always
problem
did.
solved.
It just doesn't look
Yep.
like a very safe donut.
They got some really good donuts at
Gotta go
Jupiter
to Jupiter.
Jupiter donuts
Donut
are
for
outstanding.
a good donut.
The
Plugging them.
cronuts.
But Amory
the
has several more
cronuts.
questions here. So.
Of course. You go, girl.
Yep. So how many models just don't have any spare tire at all, or just have the fix-a-flat? And that's a bunch of them. Can you guess how many? I guess the number doesn't matter. It's just that-
Several models.
yeah, a bunch do. All right, number 4.
Before you do that, let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
If your car is equipped with that fix-a-flat stuff, and you have a different option to call a tow truck
First, yes.
or put some air in that tire to get somewhere safe to take care of it, do that first, because using that fix-a-flat
You're done with
not
that,
only
right?
destroys the tire, but it also destroys the tire pressure sensor, and you're going to have to pay for those.
Good advice.
Good point, Rick.
All right, more. Are there any Toyotas that have run flat tires? I know Sienna's offered some of those, right? How many? Is it only on the Sienna with the run flat?
Not anymore. Now all the run flats have gone away because
No more.
people discovered, oh yeah, you can actually still drive it, but no matter what, even if you didn't drive when you found the nail in the tire, you have to replace the tire. You cannot repair a run flat tire, and they're double the price in most cases.
Well, there you go. Number 5. What's the best thing to do if you have a flat tire? And I'm going to listen to you, Rick. If you have a flat tire, what do you do? Don't put the goo in the tire. Don't squirt that stuff in your tire.
Number one thing, which I'm going to guess 50 to 60% of people have some sort of a roadside service available.
Exactly.
Whether it's through a new car purchase, which you might have it.
Yeah.
Double check on that information. Through your insurance company. A lot of them have roadside assistance through your insurance. If you happen to be on I-95 or the Turnpike, call Road Rangers. They will come, add air to get you down the road, or if it's definitely you must change it, they'll change the tire for you for free.
Road Rangers.
Road Rangers.
I've never heard of them.
They're sponsored by State Farm, and they run the Turnpike all the time. Star FHP, and just tell them you're in need of Road Ranger assistance and where you are. They will come and change tire and get you back on the road. It's a free service
All right,
from the
well,
state
Boy,
of
that's
Florida.
great advice, Rick. I've
hope
seen
my
them on
kids
the
are listening.
Here's a
turnpike.
little Google statistic. 60% of Americans can't change their spare tire. So
Like,
we're
incapable
talking,
of, or they don't have a spare tire?
They don't know how to.
Oh, okay.
So 40%, we're speaking to 40% of the American public here.
Big chunk.
Most people, the majority of people, don't know how to change a spare tire.
Well, that's a shame.
So you call,
I wonder
you
how
call
many,
the auto club.
I wonder how many came of age driving cars that didn't have spare tires. I mean, there was not even
Good
an
point.
opportunity to learn.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's how I learned.
Yeah.
And I won't even go into the fact that my wife, well, yeah, I will. My wife was one of 4 sisters. Their father, before they were allowed to have a driver's license,
Had to change his
made
tire.
them go out in the driveway and change a tire on his car and then change it back.
In my father's family, you had to know how to shoe a horse before they would let you ride a horse.
And
Smart maneuver.
Unfortunately, Rick's father-in-law was injured in a severe accident when his wheels fell off.
Hey, where I lived, I had to learn how to milk a cow. So there you go.
Let's
I mean,
move-
you know,
let's move
you've
right
got to
along.
learn.
Move
Okay.
right along.
Well, let's jump over to Rick. He probably has some comments on our YouTube channel.
Well, actually, I do have one interesting one here. Let's see, from Don Brown, referring back to an earlier concern about the used car prices. He says, FYI, I priced a 2013 Chevy Malibu with 15,177 miles with online buyers. His own car, looking to see what quotes he would get. He says he got quotes from $8,639 from Carvana to $14,787 from CarMax.
Very interesting.
$6,000 spread.
Here's why that's particularly interesting. Stu will remember this. At our last meeting, we asked our wholesale expert, his name is Ted Kabush, if someone's got a used car and they want to get bids on it, where should they go? He says CarMax, number one. And he says, maybe if you want a second, it'd be WeBuyAnyCar.com. But Carvana is in trouble, and they're losing money. Carvana lost over $1 billion.
That's called finding out.
In the last quarter. So congratulations to all you folks out there who milked Carvana
Right. You put
by
them under.
selling your car.
You're putting them
but
down.
They just overloaded it, and now they can't buy any more cars. So, but that's very interesting.
That's called messing around and then finding out.
That's right.
Right, they messed around and they found out.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over. We have more. I'll stick with the anonymous feedback. One just came in when we were talking. I'm sorry if I skipped over an older one. Some industries have worked hard to maintain product and service delivery during the COVID era and tough economic times. The automobile industry has not. How about putting an excess profits tax on the auto manufacturers and dealers?
I think that's a terrible idea.
Come on, Earl.
I'll be serious for a minute. I don't like government taking
Money
reckless
from me.
direct interference. Well, I'm a car dealer and we're making a ton of money.
You're a funny one.
This will be the best profit year we've ever had. So yeah, I like to make money, and we are making a lot of money. But we like to think we're doing it ethically, honestly,
I can
and morally
chime in on
correct.
that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of efforts, from various factions, to impose like excess profits tax, and some of it sounds appealing and simple and might solve problems. We don't know. Right now, there's not going to be like a period in time where the excess profits are going to officially stop. A law. I mean, I'm taking your suggestion seriously. A law, and then next week inventory picks up, and then there's a profit. There's excess profit. It doesn't make sense.
But government action in and of itself isn't the problem. It's the government doesn't think these things through. Now, if you want to get prices down for the consumer, then just tell the government to enforce the laws they've already put on the books.
Exactly.
We talk about this on the show every week. We have laws on the books. You heard Victoria, if you were listening earlier, called in because she was taken advantage of by Southern 441 Nissan. Well, and she said, there's laws on the books in Florida that said what they did to me was illegal. And if they would the regulators need to enforce the laws, and the lawmakers need to see that the laws they make are enforced. So there's got to be, you can't make a bunch of laws and just forget about it. And taxing profits, that's ridiculous. I think that's a bad idea.
All right, more anonymous feedback. Any idea how many people that buy a new car actually need a new car? And what would happen to prices if they all decided to not buy a car for a year or 2 years?
I can answer that.
Greed may be good, but karma sometimes comes for a visit.
Everybody that buys a new car doesn't need it, period. You don't need a new car. If you need transportation, and it has to be a car, a good used car is a far better value. People buy new cars because it makes them feel good. It's an emotional thing. Our mystery shopping report at the latter half hour of the show will drive home the message that I'm saying here, that emotion dictates, need, motion, whatever you want to call it, dictates why people buy new cars. And you can be taken advantage of if you let your emotions and your perceived needs overtake your logic. But used car is always a better value. Now, let me correct myself. There are times, and during this COVID crisis, there are times when a used car was a worse value than a new car. If we actually see used cars selling for higher prices than new cars. So that's the exception to the rule. But in general, when we're back to normal times, a used car is a far better buy.
Yeah, especially if you go back a few years. Like if you get a used 2021 model, you're probably going to be paying over a new car MSRP. You go back to a 17 or 18, prices are much more closer to earth.
Yep.
I've got a text here, unless we have a call.
Yeah, yes, we do. We're going to talk to Marty, but I have to remind our listeners, don't forget, I haven't mentioned this for a while, but you can really get involved by going to FloridaLawProtectingCarBuyers.com. That's FloridaLawProtectingCarBuyers.com. Go there. They can be a huge help to you. We're going to go to Marty, who's calling us from West Palm Beach.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marty.
Hi. I got a couple tire stories for you.
Oh, boy.
Fantastic.
A friend of mine in Rochester, New York, bought a car that didn't come with a spare, and he made the dealer put in a donut. I guess, I don't know if there was a space for it or not, but he made the dealer to make the deal buy a donut and put it in the trunk, because he felt when he's going anywhere, if he needs a spare, you got a problem if the blowout or something on your tire is such that the fix-a-flat can't fix it, and you need somebody to change the tire for you. You actually need a tire.
Exactly.
You can't, so that's number one. Number two, the people now, I was with my daughter, and she was driving her Tesla. The Tesla had a flat. We called the Tesla roadside service, and they said, well, they can't fix it. I mean, they have to tow the car.
Yeah, probably flatbed.
So then we called AAA. AAA said the same thing. They can't do anything if you don't have a spare. So I don't know how much a spare donut does really cost, but I'm sure they're better off. I know they're trying to save weight, but probably they're just trying to save money.
Exactly right. It's interesting. Here I am, a Tesla driver. I never thought about that. Because you do rely on Tesla. If you have a flat, there's not much else you can do. It's got to flatbed the car. So interesting question. I don't know. A lot of Teslas. I mean, I have one of the larger ones. It's the S model Plaid, but the smaller models, you might have a hard time finding where you would put anything except I don't know. Do they make a donut? I guess they do. Tesla has special tires. At least mine does.
They all do, yeah.
They all do, yeah. So that's a great question, Marty. I don't know. If I get a flat tire, I'm just going to call Tesla and keep my fingers crossed, because I wouldn't know what else to do.
Now, let me ask you a question, though. In your dealership, if you have a car that doesn't have a spare, would you make a deal with somebody that said, I'll buy the car, but I need a spare? Would you
I think so.
For them?
I think so. I mean, the car dealerships have tires laying all over the place. They probably even have donuts and things like that. They have used tires. We take, for an emergency purpose, so you don't get stuck in the middle of a snowstorm and nowhere. I wouldn't mind having a used full-size spare, as long as it has some tread left. All you want to do is something will get you to the tire store so you can get the right tire. So, I think most car dealerships would find something if it was a question of making the deal. And I think from a moral standpoint, ethical, I'd feel bad about selling the guy or a woman a car without a spare tire, especially when they asked for it. I mean, how'd you feel if something bad happened and they got stuck somewhere in the middle of the night without a spare tire?
Now, would you tell somebody when they come in, this car doesn't have a spare, or you're going to leave it up to the buyer?
I would tell them. I hope my salesman would. We don't have perfect salespeople. Nobody does. And there's a lot of things about cars you should cover. And there are a lot of things you do cover, but people don't remember it. We talked earlier on the show about car buying being such an emotional experience. Part of the big problems that I see as a car dealer, and I'm finishing my second book now, maybe my third book will be how to communicate better with customers when they take delivery of their car. Because almost without exception, I think Stu would agree with me, when we deliver a car, we leave questions unanswered.
Of course.
And we don't say things and tell people cars are so complicated today, there are a lot of things that don't get through. And when we do tell them, we don't emphasize it enough so that they don't remember.
Right. And also products change all the time, and
Yeah.
it's always like Rick is undergoing constant education to a lesser extent, and a much easier extent. Salespeople do also.
Yeah.
I remember, here's a quick story, when I was selling cars, when I was on the floor selling cars, and it was the year that on the Camry they went from a full-size spare to a donut spare, and I was doing my presentation, my expert presentation in the showroom, and I was showing the car, and as I'm lifting the trunk, I go, and it has a full-size, and I lift up the thing, and there's a donut there, and it was very embarrassing, and I didn't get the message. And
It has a full-size donut.
yeah, and if I hadn't opened the trunk, I would have said, yeah, it's got a full-size spare, and they would have left, but I opened it up, and I learned it. But yeah, it's things change, and
Where are they
salespeople
ever?
are not perfect.
Yeah, changing.
All right, well, you answered some of my questions. But
Good
I think
questions,
you need
Marty.
a
Very
spare.
good questions. Thank you.
I think you need a spare tire or a spare tire.
I agree.
I agree, Marty. It's nice hearing from you. It's always nice
Okay.
hearing from you. You're definitely.
Have a good weekend.
Oh, thank you. You too. You're a great part of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, give us a call at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Again, ladies, don't forget $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Give us a call and say hello. Rick?
Just a quick thought for anyone that might feel a little more comfortable about this. I have a little device sitting in my truck behind the seat, weighs about 7 pounds, plugs into the power outlet, and it's a little air compressor. And it would take it about 7 or 8 minutes to fill up even a donut spare. But it will put air in a tire and pump that tire up all the way. And there's been a few times that I've stopped alongside the road to help someone that had a flat tire and they wanted to change the tire. And they pulled their spare out and it went plunk because it was flat as could be. And I was able to pull that thing out and fill up their spare and help them get back on the road just for a simple little $30 or $40 air compressor that hardly weighs anything, takes up very little room, and yet it can save
You're
your
driving
neck.
around saving people on the
What-
side
what
of
a
the road.
great
Who are you,
story.
Tom Cruise?
No, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have done that several times. I will stop and help people.
That's
I'm
another show.
I'm just a nice guy.
Rick, what a great story that is. Truly, it is a great story. As far as what you're using, I have one in the garage, and Earl and I have had it for only a couple of years, but boy, I'll tell you what, what a great thing to have in your trunk.
Simple air compressor available on Amazon.
There you go.
And also it blows up the float for the pool.
It does.
Absolutely.
And your basketballs.
Okay, we are going to go to Frank, who's calling us from Jupiter Farms. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning to you guys. Well, I have a litany of stuff to say. A lot of it came out, but I'll go to the tires eventually. But I decided to do a little mystery shopping last week of your dealership.
Oh, boy.
I know. Actually, it was I was getting an oil change, and we saw Randy, but it was for my Mercedes-Benz, which I know you don't get Mercedes-Benz in there very often. Mm-hmm. And as long as you had the VIN number, they could get the right filter, and everything went very well. We've been in there before with Anne-Marie with her Lexus over the years. but she doesn't have that anymore. Anyway, but it was fun. We got to sit down in your coffee area, and there was a few bagels still left at 1:30 in the afternoon, and some interesting brews of coffee. And everyone's very nice in there, very polite. Randy especially. We got to see Matt over because Anne Marie said, "Well, let's go look at new cars." She's thinking about maybe possibly getting what is it? One of your can't think of it right now. Anyway, as it was, there was not a car on the showroom floor except for your old Pontiac.
It's not for sale.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that was an eye opener. But all the staff we met was very cordial, very nice. We also brought them some thank you gifts. I don't know if you heard about that on Monday morning, but the entire back seat of the Mercedes-Benz was filled with donuts, bagels, pastries, about 100 pounds between the salespeople and the.
They didn't tell me about that. I was just getting back from vacation. I got to ask, that's really nice.
Yeah, Josh, I think was going to.
Why didn't we have any cars on the showroom floor?
What, are you serious? We don't have any cars to sell.
Well, I mean,
there was
used
not
cars.
a car on your showroom floor.
I guess we could put a used car down there.
Yeah. We're one of the few. The reason I asked the question is we're one of the few dealers that from many years ago we started putting used cars on the showroom floor because people when they come to a new car dealership they know that back during normal days they knew you had new cars. Yeah.
I'm being serious. They're not. There's not a used car in the showroom floor because it's sold.
Yeah.
They keep selling.
Yeah.
That was the joke that you had.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
No, it was interesting. But I guess the word is on the street, too, that come by your dealership around 2 because magically, all of a sudden, all the bagels went out people's pockets. And it was an interesting concept. But back to the tire thing. On the Mercedes I have, it's a 2012 E350. It's a sport model. And consequently, I didn't know it was a sport model meant anything other than it just looked nice. The tires are staggered. There's 245 18s in the front and 265 35s in the rear. And it appears that the rear tires, once again, are worn out after only 10,000 miles. The inside tread is basically down to the cord. So I guess this is for Rick. That would most likely be a camber problem. They didn't adjust the tires correctly when they did the alignment.
Yeah, inside edge wear is going to be an alignment issue. Pardon me. The camber, if you were to imagine looking straight down on top of the car, say you were floating above the car, the tires can be tilted either in at the top or out at the top. And if they're tilted in too far at the top, that creates a inside edge wear for camber, and tilted too far out, of course, would cause outside edge wear. And the reason that they adjust camber a little bit is usually the front tires would be adjusted a little over in order to help compensate for road crown. But if it's too much, then that could cause wear.
Yeah, these are Continentals. They're about $250 to $300 each. And I got 10,000 miles out of the rear ones this time, and I've gotten 12 or 15 before. Obviously, someone's not setting it correctly. We're going to get tires and bring it into your shop because Randy said you actually got some European guy back there who can do European cars.
Yeah, Frank, thank you very much. We got a whole bunch of calls backed up here, and we'd like to get to at least a few of them before we get to the mystery shopping report. But thanks very much for spreading the word about the bagels. We appreciate that.
Frank, we love you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Stay in touch. Don't be a stranger. Have a wonderful weekend.
Did you see the pictures I sent you from the dealership in Stewart with the peanuts?
Today?
Yes. Just got them now.
Okay. That was your mystery shopping people up there.
Thank you.
Great sense of humor. Thank you. Okay. We're going to go to our next caller. Good morning. Good morning, Dick. Hello? Is it?
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome.
Okay. I'm calling to comment on the Tesla's flat tire discussion. I had the experience with my Tesla. I have a Model S, and I've talked to you before about it. And and really enjoying the car. But a while back, I had a flat tire on my Tesla, and I called Tesla road service.
Uh-huh.
Well, they came out very quickly, and what they do, they bring out a wheel and a tire all mounted. It's painted red, so you can't miss it.
Oh.
And they take the tire back to the shop and fix it, and come back and replace it.
Well, that's great. Do they charge you for the call or just
They
the
charge
tire?
They didn't charge me anything.
Wow. Fantastic.
Goodwill.
Yeah.
Yep. It was, and they, Tesla has their own little service trucks that go.
Yeah.
I've had them come to my house for minor stuff, mirror problem or whatever. But anyway, it worked out very well. And I don't know what you do on a trip because they take your tire and either put a new tire on or. I did.
Well, that puts my mind at rest. Being a Tesla driver, I wondered about that. So they got to you real quick, changed the tire, and that's good news.
Yeah, the road service did it, the Tesla road service. And the other thing I wanted to comment is a company called Evanex, and they're located in Florida. And they sell a lot of Tesla accessories. They sell a spare tire in a bag so it stays easy to handle.
Oh.
They sell a whole kit for tire service.
What's the name of that again?
Evanex, Evanexx.
Evanexx.
Yeah, it's on. You can get them on. You can Google them on the internet. They have a line of Tesla accessories.
Well, fantastic. I didn't even know about that. Well, being a Tesla owner, I made a note of that, and I'll be checking them out.
Yeah, we can use all the information we can get a hold of, Dick.
Yeah, it's very quality equipment too.
Yeah.
Several things from them.
I'm having a great time driving that car.
Oh yeah, I still have trouble with mine. I've had a couple of problems with mine recently, but Tesla stepped up to it. My big battery went out.
Oh boy!
Is that right?
What year do you have?
18, 35,000 miles. They replaced it. Gave me a loaner, and they kept it a week and a half or so with a new battery in.
At no charge?
No charge.
Wow. Elon Musk, you're the best.
I'm telling you. They messed up. Their biggest problem is service is communication. It's the dog trying to talk to them.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
But
definitely.
if you use the messages, they usually get back to you. But once they get hold of your car, my experience is it did a fine job, better than most car dealers.
Yes. Thank you
and
so
I'm an
much.
old 85-year-old. I'm an 85-year-old dude. I've run through a lot of cars.
Oh wow!
Like Earl.
I bet you
Earl
have.
has.
Yeah, we'll have lunch together and bore each other to death.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
We'll have an '80s party, Dick.
I have a Cybertruck on order, and I also have a car called Aptera, a little two-seater job, electric,
Well,
goes 1,000 miles, charged with a solar.
Oh,
Talk about that sometime. Look, Google that one up. Aptera. And it's on YouTube also.
I'll check it out. I got even
car. It's about to go into production next year.
Very good.
We'll check that out.
I know you're busy. I'll get off the line, and great talking with you.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Tune in for
Dick.
that
Great
mystery
call.
shopping report. It's a doozy. Okay, we're going to go to Danny. Ladies, before we go to Danny, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Give us a call. 877-960-9960. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. It's nice to hear from you.
It's always glad to call into you guys. So, going back to the donut tire or the save a spare, I actually found this out the hard way. I had a flat in my BMW on I-95, and when I put the little donut tire on and I tried to go again, my traction control started going crazy. I could not get over about 40 miles an hour. It just wouldn't allow me to do it. I actually had to pull back over, get the owner's manual out, and figure out how to turn the traction control off.
Wow.
Yeah, some models, the computer systems are so sensitive that even having just a slight difference in tread depth would cause that issue. Matter of fact, some cars used to have their tire pressure system, instead of actually reading the pressure with a sensor, it would use ABS wheel speed sensors. And if it determined that one wheel was traveling at a different speed than the others, that would trigger that light. And we had a customer came in that they had one tire that the tread, 3 tires were relatively worn down. They had put one new tire on it with fresh, brand new tread, nice and thick. and it actually triggered the light to come on because that tire was a taller tire.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Learn something, I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
that should be a concern for people that are just wanting to buy a Save-A-Spare and throw it in their trunk.
Exactly.
Realize that it might not work, because on some of these vehicles you cannot turn the traction control off.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm learning more on this show than the callers. I mean, I get a complete education every Saturday on this stuff. Because I recommended you put an old tire in your trunk. Well, if you got a new car and you got an old tire in there, you're going to have a problem. So
it may not work.
May not work. Yeah.
Great information, Danny.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you
the
so
call.
much. Okay, we are taking a hiatus here, and we're going back to Stu or Rick.
All right. Well, I was looking at the pictures that Frank sent of the cafe and the M&Ms and the peanuts. Pretty impressive. I want this. It's like at Whole Foods or at Publix where they have the self-serve, like the grains and the seeds and all that. You just lift the thing up and it pours into your hand. So
They have the whole
Yummy.
container?
it's like a big glass tube full of M&Ms,
the whole
and you just open them up. You pull a little lever there. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
That says something about the demographics of their customers and our customers. We have bagels, they have M&Ms.
Right. They're very different.
Well, we should have both.
Okay. We have a text from a longtime texter and caller, Steve from New Jersey. He says, our friend's husband, and she's a senior lady, lost her husband recently. And he's got a car with a 30-month lease with 20 months remaining. Can the lease car be returned and the lease ended? His wife doesn't drive a car and they have no children who might use it. That's a situation that we run into, too often down here. And at least with our main lender, Southeast Toyota Finance, if someone is leasing a car and they pass away, they're not going to go after them. The surviving spouse can return the car. Technically, the lease doesn't end, and the lease would be in default, but they don't go after the surviving spouse. Now, that is going to depend bank to bank, but I imagine it's a kind of a humane sort of thing. I would advise them just to check with their lender, let them know what happened, and ask them to give you the advice, because they can be humane and kind in these situations.
There is a company, it's a long shot, but it's called Swap a Lease, SWAPALEASE, Swap a Lease. I have an app on my phone with Swap a Lease, because people have asked this question before. And what they do is they will, for a fee, of course, they will try to find someone, a buyer and a seller, or a lessee and a lessor, that would like to take over the lease payments. Mm-hmm. And it's, but as Stu said, when I'm speaking to groups or speaking on the radio and people ask me about leasing, I always say the one thing you need to know about a lease: when you sign a 36-month lease, you are legally obligated to make 36 payments. I mean, you can have an incapacity, you could die, anything can happen. You owe 36 payments on that lease.
According to the letter of the law, the estate would be responsible for making good on the remaining payments, but it has never happened in my 25 years of doing this.
Yeah, car dealers will, some salespeople will have you believe it's like renting a car. They say, why buy it when you can rent it? Well, you're not renting it, you're leasing it, and leasing means a 36-month lease is 36 payments come hell or high water. You got to make them, or the estate, as Stu said, if you pass away.
That's right. We have another texter here chiming in on the cleaning brake dust off your wheels. He says, for cleaning the brake dust off your wheels when it's really bad, you can use PVC cleaner. I know everybody is afraid to do that because they're afraid it's going to take the paint off, but I've done it many times on many cars, and it's never touched the paint, so do what you please.
I would have to see that one before I did it myself.
Okay. What is PVC like for patio furniture? Or
no, I'm guessing PVC
polyvinyl
means the cleaner you're using for plastic PVC pipe that cleans it up before you put the glue on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. We have another question from Bob in Naples. Says, I love the show. Thinking of ordering a 2013 Corolla with 2023 Corolla with the He wrote 2013, I didn't. With a new, larger 2.0 liter engine and the Safety Sense 3.0 feature. Question, what is it like driving with all these safety features running in the background? Well, you're not aware of it. All the passive safety features are going on. I mean, part of Safety Sense, I believe, is the lane keep assist and all that.
Yep.
So it beeps loudly if you cross into a lane without putting your blinker on, and some people hate that. Some people love that.
It can be rather annoying.
I do it because I don't
Incredibly
ever drift into other lanes like other people in my family. My car doesn't beep.
However, if your car has what's known as lane keep assist,
Right, that's where actually pulls you back. Lane
Right.
trace assist.
Lane
Trace.
Yeah, the lane trace assist. That keeps your car centered in the lane,
Right.
and all you really have to do is just keep your hand on the wheel to
Right.
give it a little guidance now and then.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's two. I don't know if the lane trace is part of Safety Sense 3.0. Let me explain. There's different. There's lane departure alert, which beeps when you change the lane. There's lane keep assist. That if you go to depart the lane, it kind of nudges you back. How the steering wheel turns a little bit.
Yep.
Then there's lane trace, which is almost autonomous driving, which basically drives and turns the car with it. So,
Right.
But to answer your question, Bob, these things are happening in the background, and unless something happens, you don't like swerving out of a lane, you don't know what's going on. His next question is, how good is the parking assist feature? I hate parallel parking myself. Thanks in advance. I hate parallel parking too. I rarely use it. Once in a while, I would use it. I did it on the Tesla. I don't know if you've done your automatic parking.
I haven't too because I just don't want. I mean, I don't need to.
I started to do it when I was getting criticized by my brother at my terrible reverse parking skills. I'm like, well, I'm going to use the computer to help me. But it's a nifty feature. I don't know very many people who use it.
It takes too long.
Yeah, it does. Oh yeah, I can park. I can pull in a spot in about a half a second. This thing takes a minute just to.
It's very slow, and you have to control the pedals while you're doing it.
Right.
So.
I lost that technique, so to speak, a little, leaving Pittsburgh. Parallel parking was just, like having breakfast. I mean, you just did it several times a day. One finger on the steering wheel.
I've got one here, Stu. Rico West is asking, what is the cutoff date to order a new Highlander with the V6 engine?
So they're
we
going
don't
to.
know.
We don't know. See, I had to sigh. Highlander is getting rid of the V6, and it's going to be all 4 cylinders soon. And so there will become a point where you're not going to be able to get one. I can't give you an answer to that. The best thing to say is put an order in for it, and we'll keep communicating with you.
Just be sure you can get your money back.
Yeah.
That you don't want to be locked in on an ordered car.
Yeah.
When Nancy and I spoke at the Rotary Club in Wellington the other day, a lot of people ask that question. When I order my car, when will they build it? And it's a very complicated issue. They don't build the car that you order anymore. They build cars,
Right.
and then when they build one like the one you ordered or the one you ordered, then you'll be notified. That could be.
That's the best description I've heard when people ask. When you're not ordering. They're not building a car to order. They're building cars, right? And we just trying to find the best match. That's
This
what we're
ain't
doing.
Burger King.
It's not
You
Burger
don't have
King.
it your way.
The car. I mean, I don't want to discourage a lot of people, but the car that you order, the specific car you ordered, depending on how specific you want to get, may never be built because by the end of the model year, they didn't build it. Then you'll just have to order another.
Like the example Rick brought up from his question with the V6 Highlander. Like at some point they're going to stop making this, and then at some point someone's going to lose that order on the list. Bob, a different Bob texted us also. We were talking about the dust on the rims. He has an idea that I like better. Simple Green. He goes, it works on rims, it's non-corrosive, and it's also biodegradable.
Nancy's favorite cleaning fluid.
And it smells good too.
Yep.
Semi-tractor trailers drop off our Simple Green at the house.
We're all cut up right now.
I got one other quick comment just from R. Le Mans 1. He says, no, I have no desire to go electric. Expensive to purchase is the reason. As for Tesla, it is ugly to look at. Well,
beauty is an eye of the beholder.
Well, I respect that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to buy electric today. They're too damn expensive. I mean, you really got to want that electric car badly today, but the prices are going to come down.
Exactly.
Hey, the fact is, if you don't want to buy an electric car today, you will buy one tomorrow because sooner or later you're not going to have a choice. So it's coming. I was looking at the Wall Street Journal, Nancy and I were looking at an article about the Genesis, and they have 2 models out now of the Genesis. I can't remember the exact model Genesis, but the EV version is $75,000. The gas version is $55,000. So yeah, here's a picture of it. It's the G80 VS, and so do you want to pay $20,000 more for the EV?
Why do they have a grill on it?
I don't know. Anyway, the point is, practically speaking, why would you want to pay $20,000 more? People buy Teslas and they pay more money for electric vehicles today because they're fun to drive and they want to do it. You don't have to do it,
Yeah.
but sooner or later you're going to have to do it.
I'll tell you, I'd like to see some things change with the Plaid that we drive. And most people that drive the Plaid want to reach autonomy. And by doing so, you have to abide by the rules that Elon put out there. And it's a different type of driving. You have to be very careful because you're penalized if you if you have a hard brake, anything at all. But I'd like to see him change the rules a bit. I'd like to see him reinforce some rules because you get a little lazy, is what I'm saying. So at any rate, back to Stu.
All right, we have some anonymous feedback. Somebody was listening earlier. Says the issue wasn't clarified with the Terry Taylor dealership. What was the problem that happened with Victoria at Southern 441 Nissan?
She was lied to with the pricing and the trade-in, and she took delivery of the car and realized that the promises they had made, verbal promises, were totally distorted and wrong, and she overpaid a lot of money. And she went back right away, and they said, you took delivery of the car, and that's the end of the conversation. Matter of fact, we have a mystery shopping report come up, and on that particular mystery shopping report, right on the vehicle buyer's order, it says, when you take delivery of this car, don't bring it back. I'm kind of taking a little literary license here, but it said, once you buy the car, drive it home, that's the end of the conversation. You own the car. And that's the way most car dealers are. So you can mislead a customer, get them in the car, get them to take it home, and they have a ironclad contract that you can't break. And that's the way it is.
All right. We have more anonymous feedback. Says, I'm located in Pennsylvania and would like to see you visit a Pennsylvania dealer.
And we've done.
We have. So we have. Oh, and it's a Toyota dealer. Okay. We have mystery shopped Jim Shorkey Chrysler in North Huntington, Pennsylvania. We have been Riverview Chevrolet in Irwin, Pennsylvania, Greensford, Pennsylvania. So we've been all over there, but we haven't been to a Toyota dealer up there. So we'll do that.
And in general, I believe the shops were much nicer and fair, and the dealers, the dealer fees. And
much better in Pennsylvania. You're very lucky to be living there, and it's lovely. I just was in Philadelphia last week.
You can buy a Toyota at any Toyota dealer in Pennsylvania, and get a better deal than you're going to get in South Florida. So
agreed.
We have another anonymous feedback. It says, on your mystery shop of Riverview Chevrolet in Irwin, Pennsylvania, the actual price of the vehicle is $468 over MSRP. The dock fee and additional fee are part of the price. The $1,250 rebate does not come from the dealer. It comes to the manufacturer, and it is a $1,250 regardless of the negotiated price. I pulled up the shop, and I'm sorry, I was correct in the reporting. It was below. You're correct that the rebate does come from the manufacturer, but the real price paid by the shopper, by Agent Lightning, was included that rebate. So it was correct. It was below MSRP.
I wonder if that's the dealer in the anonymous feedback. We'll never know.
I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, yes, the money came from the manufacturer, but you still paid. The price was below MSRP. So it might be confusing, and if you wanted to call, and I could walk you through it, but I was right. And you are wrong.
You've got our text number, and you can text us again, 772. That'd be a direct text. 772
Then I can get back to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can send you the buyer's order and
Yeah.
show you and all that. Last anonymous feedback says, "Good morning. What do y'all think about the Toyota Crown? We all love it. We all saw
Love
pictures of it. Do you think Toyota fans will like it as much since it's replacing the Avalon?" I think so. I don't know. I think if it's comparable in size and comfort, Avalon is not a high volume selling car for Toyota, but it's very, very popular, especially with older customers. It's really the only big, cushy sedan that they had, and so if the Crown is in a similar price point and is just as comfy, I think it'll do good.
I
All
love
right,
my Avalon.
we're done.
I love that Avalon, and it is cushy, and it is big. And it's quite a difference when you climb out of that and get into the Tesla. You have to quickly, make the transition in your mind.
Oh, there's another anonymous that didn't get read. I don't know if it was last week or during the week here, and that you'll like this one. Nancy always has the correct grade. Any dealer that has a market value adjustment, taxable fees, and dock fees fails. So you got a fan out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard for all of us on the show giving C's and respectable scores, but I keep reminding everybody that our duty and purpose of this show is to help people find car dealers that they can get fair, not perfectly fair, but a fair or honest price. And if we didn't grade on the curve, we would fail so many car dealerships that there'd just be no place to go. So
Exactly.
you can't say to the listening public, don't buy a car ever for the rest of your life. I mean, you have to have a place to go. And so we have the recommended list and we have the do not buy list. Just definitely don't buy a car on the do not buy list.
And the other with an F.
And when you buy one, right, when you buy one from a recommended list, go with caution, look at the grade score, take a C over a D or a B over a C, and we actually have a couple A's, not very many, but that's about all we got. So we cut them a little slack, we grade on the curve. There are no perfect dealers, including our dealership. I mean, we screw up all the time. People call the radio show and tell us how we screw up. We had one at the earlier part of the show, and he may be correct, he may not be, but there are no perfect dealers. So just listen and go with the higher score dealers.
All we can do is go with Kaizen, and it is continuous improvement.
Yes.
And you do it day by day. Okay, I think it's time for, what do you think, Stu? Are you finished?
I'm all done.
And Rick? You have anything
We're
for
good.
us? Okay, we're going to go to the mystery shopping report, and as I say every week, you definitely make the show, and we want you to grade the mystery shop. Mystery shopping report is from Treasure Coast Toyota, and you can grade this mystery shop, and you can text us your grade at 772-497-6530. So take advantage of that. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our mystery shop from Treasure Coast Toyota. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Yeah, and I'll just preface this with why this is such a important mystery shopping report. We've talked on the show for a long time about don't buy a car today unless you absolutely need one, new or used. Keep your used car, your current car running, and maintain it properly, and wait until prices come down. And but we get a lot of people that are taken advantage of, and they call the show, and a lot of them bought a car because they absolutely had to have a car. Now, this is it's not funny, but it's ironic. A lot of you regular listeners know Agent Lightning by reputation. She's a female shopper, been with us for quite a while, does a great job, extremely sharp. She got a on-hands job education doing these mystery shopping reports. She's been into car dealerships, Pennsylvania, Florida, Tennessee. Where else has she been, Stu? She's been all over.
Pennsylvania?
Northern Florida.
Yeah, week after week after week. And she does reports. She listens to the reports. if there's anybody that is educated on buying a car, it's Agent Lightning. Well, this is a shopping report of Treasure Coast Toyota by Agent Lightning, and she actually bought the car.
Took it home.
And took it home.
Drove it.
Drove it home.
Didn't mess around.
Yeah, she owns it.
She put her mouth where her money was. Put her money where her mouth was.
She traded in her own vehicle.
And then she called me up and told me.
And apologized.
And apologized because she was going to buy a car from us, and she couldn't wait. And we had no cars, and she had to order a car, and it would take months and months. But she had to have a car. She's got a big family. And
got 5 cars in the family.
Five cars in the family. Yeah, that's a stressful situation.
So anyway, here
and
we are.
And we had an emotional
Here
conversation.
I don't think it's ever happened before that our mystery shopper actually bought the car. So we will share this with you now. Hang on to your hats, folks. Hang on to your hats. Okay, Stu put this together. Reading Stu's report. We'll kick off this week's mystery shop with a disclaimer about why we are uncomfortable shopping Toyota dealerships. I'm a Toyota dealer, and I do not want to give the impression that I'm taking shots at my main competition. I mean, that would be too self-serving. I'm not. When I shop at a Toyota dealer, I'm giving you the facts the way they happen. Trust me when I say we conduct all of our mystery shops without fear or favor. We don't hold back, and we don't attack our subjects unfairly. We treat a Toyota dealer with the same dispassionate approach we take with a Cadillac dealer. We have several Toyota dealerships on our recommended list, including 2 of our closest competitors, Palm Beach Toyota and Ed Morris Del Rey Toyota. Those are 2 of the closest ones. Treasure Coast Toyota currently had a D. Now that's a
D minus.
D minus. And they're on the recommended list, but that's as low a score as you can get and be on the recommended list. The other dealers are recommended highly. We last visited them, Treasure Coast Toyota, almost 2 years ago in the beginning of the pandemic. We dinged them a bit for extreme pressure tactics and for lying to Agent Lightning. She was actually in the store before.
Good.
I remember she bought a car when she went in on this mystery shopping report. She went in as a mystery shopper, and she called us, texted Stu and me, and said, how about Treasure Coast Toyota? We said, that's a great idea. Go in there and mystery shop them. We haven't shopped them in a long time, so she did. We've avoided them long enough, and we don't have high hopes for this dealership in the current seller's market. I do have to let you know that this mystery shop is extraordinary. What you are about to hear is as real as it gets. Agent Lightning found herself in the same unfortunate situation faced by millions of Americans, immediate need for a new car. Now, I'll elaborate a little bit on that. 2 things happen. When you need a car badly, you tend to pay more, and you tend to your emotions take hold. I say that because we advise that you don't ever take a car home the day you buy it. When you go into a car dealership, even if you find the car that you want, which is highly unlikely today, but if you find the car you want, you don't drive it home that day. When you drive a car home, you own it in the eyes of the dealer, whether it's ethically or morally correct. But when you take a car home, even if you find out you made a big mistake, you own it. Now, Victoria, if you really listen to the show from the beginning, who had the terrible experience with Southern 441 Nissan, that was her problem. She got taken advantage of thoroughly. She was misled, deceived, and she took the car home, and they said, you own the car. And I never said that. I didn't tell you we would give you this much for the trade-in. I didn't tell you we would do that. They claimed everything she said wasn't true, but it was in the paperwork, and she has to keep the car. So here we are, Agent Lightning, with the same situation. We've been advising listeners for the last year to avoid buying a car until vehicle inventory start building. If possible, prices are too high, and the best advice is to wait. Some people, because of various circumstances, just can't wait. Here's a report, as if I were Agent Lightning. Three guys were standing out front when my daughter and I arrived. One stepped forward, asked me what he could do for me today. I asked him if he had any RAV4 hybrids in stock. He smiled and told me that he had one on the showroom floor. Then the guy turned to the other two guys and asked which one of them had been standing outside the longest. I mean,
which one's really sweaty?
I mean, this is a real rule. These guys stand out there sweating in the 95-degree heat.
Feels like 107.
Yeah. And Christian raised his hand and said, I've been out here longer, and then extended it for me to shake. He led me inside, told me the way they do things. Whoever's been outside the longest is up, and that's car dealer vernacular. When you walk into a dealership, you're not a human being. You're an up. And everybody's supposed to get a fair amount of ups, although in some car dealerships, like Treasure Coast,
they have lot
the
lizards.
one that stands outside in the heat the longest one is the one.
Those are called lot lizards.
Right. So anyway, this is old school. Once inside, Christian, the salesperson, said he believed that they may have two RAV4 hybrids in stock. He left me to look at the one in the showroom while he checked on the other one, came back quickly and said that the other one is available, but it was out back getting the windows tinted. He said it had been sold, but the buyer backed out the night before. Christian told me to meet him up front. He pulled around, parked in front of the showroom. It was a new 2022 RAV4 XLE hybrid with an MSRP of $38,030. There was an addendum, too, with a $3,800 markup, $3,800 markup there, and $399 for tint. We hopped in for a test drive. He said I couldn't lower the windows because they'd just been tinted. On the ride, Christian demonstrated good knowledge of the vehicle. He also explained that I wonder how much he was sweating and standing outside. Oh. He explained that Treasure Coast Toyota store was marking all new vehicles up 10% over MSRP, and all hybrid vehicles are marked up 15% over MSRP. Now, they don't advertise that, by the way. You find out when you come in.
that would be a great ad.
Yeah,
Come
right.
down to Treasure Coast.
Yeah. Only
50%
15% for hybrids. 15% over MSRP.
Deals you won't believe.
Yeah. We returned to the dealership, and by the way, I picked the car out. Me, Earl Stewart. I'm taking off my Agent Lightning hat because Agent Lightning called me, and when I actually texted her back, and I found this hybrid, and I said, this is the price they say they sell it for. So I'm a co-conspirator here. We returned to the dealership. I see the price breakdown. Christian left, returned in 8 minutes with a worksheet. The top line was $43,734.50, $5,704 over MSRP. Okay? There was a $1,502.50 discount, which made the adjusted price $42,232. They added an $898.50 dock fee, dealer dock, and $6.50 in taxable fees. That's tire tax, I think. The real selling price was $43,137, $5,107 over MSRP. I told Christian that I needed to talk with my husband and ask for some privacy. I wonder what point in her mind she went from shopper to buyer.
She had been making it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's probably saying, listen, it's going to be 6 months to a year before the Highlander she has an order, and she's...
Yeah. And we sell our cars at MSRP, so we're up at $5,107.
Hey, listen, they say time is money, and maybe that 6 months is equivalent to $5,000. So.
Exactly. I'm back. I'm now Agent Lightning. He handed me the keys, suggested I FaceTime him, meaning my husband, so we could see everything. I spoke with my husband. We discussed our situation. We were in desperate need of a new vehicle, and that is true. And I could no longer afford to wait. As Stu said, time is money. She had to wait 6 months. This new car...
Or longer. She was waiting for a Highlander hybrid, so that's a long way.
The time was more costly to her than the money. We were incredibly lucky to have found the exact vehicle we needed in stock. That was, in fact, according to them, Treasure Coast, it had been an ordered car, and for some reason the buyer backed out, and it was real fluke that was. So
Serendipity.
we decided to go through with the purchase, a bittersweet decision. I told Christian we were moving forward. He helped get some documents forwarded to my husband, like the credit app, and I had him send me a picture of his driver's license. I asked Christian about including my car in the deal as a trade. It was a 2013 Chevy Camaro convertible with 140,000 miles. I had my husband send the pictures of the car, the VIN, and the odometer. Christian passed everything along to his manager. Took about 40 minutes, and the manager came over to say the best they could do on the Camaro trade-in allowance was $5,000, maybe $5,200 tops. He gave me all the reasons he couldn't give me more, citing an accident and some damage. My husband and I agreed to the appraisal. I asked Christian if he could do anything more for me on the price of the big dealer fee. He said he couldn't and told me that even Treasure Coast Toyota employers had to pay the big dealer fee when they bought cars there. That's true. The dealers do charge their own employees dealer fees. So I countered back and asking if they could, again, hitting him on the trade-in, if they could go to $6,000 instead of $5,200 on the Camaro. Christian immediately replied to me by asking if I was signed now, if he could get me the $6,000. I asked if he wanted me to ask his sales manager for him. He said he'd better do it, and he left and asked him. Christian was back in a few minutes to say we had a deal. I called my husband, told him to bring the Camaro, and we were buying the car. Once my husband got to the dealership, we waited only a few minutes before going into Wally.
It's my dog. My dog is the F&I manager.
Nails.
That's the name of my Bernedoodle.
That's right. Yeah, beautiful dog, by the way. I have an manager. We only like Wally. Everybody likes Wally. He was quick and efficient and covered all of our options for warranties without pressure. We purchased an extended warranty for $2,582. A road hazard policy for $925. Wasn't that part of the Toyo Guard?
No, that's just for if you get a flat tire or damage to your rims.
And a prepaid maintenance plan for $809. So here is a lot of money. That's $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
And added profit. So in addition to $5,000 some odd over sticker, this would increase the over sticker by what? Another couple thousand?
Well, yeah. I mean, the total amount she paid, it wouldn't be part of the price of the car.
Yeah.
Like when she financed it, the bank would look at that differently.
Yeah. And then our advice is my advice is you don't buy an extended warranty, you don't buy a prepaid maintenance plan, and you don't buy a road hazard policy for $925. So we advise against that. But hey, and we also told her that she has 90 days to cancel that. And if she doesn't use any of those products, she can cancel it for 100% refund.
Right. But then the other thing, when you're financing, just because we get these questions all the time, if you cancel a finance product, you don't get that cash back. It just lowers. It's like a house. It lowers your payoff on your car. You don't pay it off sooner. It's just.
You have to wait.
You pay it off sooner.
3 or 4 years or whatever you finance it for before you get it back. Anyway. Final paperwork matched the worksheet, except now there was a little more, a $279 electronic filing fee, which was not revealed apparently at the beginning.
That wasn't on the worksheet.
Yeah. So that's a no-no. And here's what I don't like. When we finished, Wally, the F&I manager, handed us our paperwork on a credit card-sized thumb drive.
Autocorrect. Damn autocorrect.
And when Agent Lightning called me to apologize for buying the car from our competition, I asked her how much she paid. She said she wasn't sure because they had given her this thumb drive and she didn't know how to use it. So other dealers are doing this, and it's become fairly popular. The dealers are offering this, and I have no problem with offering it. I think too many people rely on paper,
right,
and they should be given.
I think it should be handed side by side. I would prefer the electronic thing because I'd put it right in my computer and I could access it any time.
Yeah.
But give me the paperwork too.
Yeah, you need it. You need both, and it's too easy to lose the thumb drive. I know you can lose paperwork too, but it's not as
Much
likely.
smaller.
And so there we are. Christian was working on getting my new RAV4 ready while my husband and I were in Wally's office, F&I manager. We came out, he was waiting with the keys, books, and manuals. He helped us download the Toyota app on our phones and helped set up everything. We thanked him, drove home together in our beautiful new ride, and it is a beautiful car. There's a picture of it right there, and you can see how you would be emotionally involved with that beautiful RAV4 hybrid that are practically, they're like, you can't buy them. They're not available. They don't exist. And she got lucky, and she found it. And of course, Toyo Guard was part of the whole product too, so you could bump the profit up a little further. The MSRP, by the way, manufacturer suggested retail price, is a misnomer because the Toyo Guard for $700 is put on by the distributor,
right,
not the manufacturer. So there's the Toyo Guard costs the dealers about $250, and they sell it for $700.
Yeah, $699. And so we did an analysis. So it was pretty brutal. So she paid a total of, including the junk fees, $5,380 over MSRP.
Yeah.
And then an additional, the finance products were another $4,652.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing probably around a $12,000 profit.
Yeah, $12,000 profit with the back end. The other part of this is taking the car home immediately, and on the I have my magnifying glass in my briefcase, but they have both the arbitration agreement she signed, which most dealers do. We don't, but most dealers do. Arbitration says you can't sue the dealer. You have to take it through the American Arbitration Agreement procedure, which is the deck is stacked for the seller and not the buyer. So when you lose your right to take a dealer to court to sue him, you've lost a lot. Also, it has here on the thumb drive that she didn't see or didn't read that when she takes the car home, she can't bring it back. Sale is final. Once you sign the papers, you take the car home. A lot of people think there's a 72-hour right of rescission of the contract. That's only for home solicitation sales, and it does not apply to anything else. So,
and mortgages.
Yeah, exactly. But on almost all products, when you buy it and take it home, you own it. And even if you say they misled you or overcharged you, you can't get out of it. So there we are. The most unusual shopping report we've ever had on this show.
Exactly.
And our mystery shopper succumbed. And they
took it all the way.
And the bottom line is, if it happened to Agent Lightning, it can happen to you. And you have to be careful, because emotion is a very powerful driver of what we do in life. We don't like to admit it, but we all have it. Stu has it, Rick has it, Jonathan has it, I have it, Nancy has it. We make decisions in life on emotion. So don't bring yourself into a position where you're going to let emotion put you in that position. It's hard to anticipate.
There's so many things working against you.
Yeah.
You got your emotions, and then the fear of embarrassing yourself, wasting people's times. You feel obligated to the people. That's a sales training technique.
Exactly.
You build obligation. You build commitment.
Absolutely.
By the longer you spend time with somebody, they feel that they owe you something.
Yeah. There's a saying among car salespeople is you continue selling until they buy or they die.
Right.
So you invest your time, and the longer you keep a person at the car dealership, the longer they feel obligated to you, because you're a salesperson, you're paid a commission. They feel like, this poor guy's been out in the hot sun. He waited for me for 2 hours before I got there, and he spent another 2 hours with me. So all that figures into your psyche. We recommend on this show, this radio show, that you don't go into car dealerships, that you do it online, by telephone, and make all your decisions, do your research before you ever. You should only actually go into the car dealership to take delivery of the car. Now, we know that's totally impractical, but minimize it. Certainly don't do the buying experience there. Go in to look at the car and drive it, but do not go in there to make a decision whether or not to buy it. There we are.
Well, we have grades coming in, and we have from Frank, unusual mystery shopping report. Obviously, you have to give the dealership a passing grade. It's still a seller's market, C-, and that's a very generous grade. P.S. The Audi SQ5 we purchased from Brian at the store dealership was at MSRP. So good job, Frank. Bob gives it a C for Treasure Coast Toyota. He says, I bet your dog would do a good job in the box. He would. He's just he's not high pressure dog. He's very nice. Mark, too many fees, C-. Now, my grade, one thing bothered me more than all of it, and I'm going to give them the lowest. I'm keeping them at a D-. It was, yes, they're doing what everybody else is doing, so it should be around a C. They snuck in a $279 junk fee that was never discussed. It was on the final paperwork in F&I. At that point, it's too late to do anything at that point. So that was really sneaky. So D- for me. I'll probably have the lowest grade.
Well, that slipped by me too. I'm glad you reminded me about that, Rick.
Kirk in West by God, Virginia. Generally truthful dealership equals a C. Horrible price, add-ons, and undisclosed e-filing fee. Kirk caught that one too. Mm-hmm. But probably the best she could get on an on-the-lot hybrid. And yeah, I mean, being as it was there. Let's see here. We have
another D- that came in. We have somebody concurring with my D-, so that's good.
There we go. Tim Gilliland. Glad he says Agent Thunder. Actually, he meant Agent Lightning is happy, but no car buying for me until market adjustments are in our rearview mirror. The C. Kyle in Pennsylvania, who his comments, he was rather heartbroken that she got stuck with this situation and had to buy the car.
Yeah.
F, went to Treasure Coast looking for treasure and got killed by pirates. Brian said, let go. $12,000 over MSRP. Treasure Coast gets a D from me. And Kyle actually comes back and says, I'd ride a bike for 8 more months if it meant saving 10 grand. Mark Ryan, C-. As an expert mystery shopper, I was surprised at all the extras she purchased. As her cover has been exposed, are you afraid of Treasure Coast sharing her details with the other dealers now? And I said, I don't think she actually got exposed in this. I think she still can do mystery shops a secret. And for myself,
they don't have a radio show, so I don't know how they're going to get it out there. I
agree with Stu. D- for my grade.
Okay, before we run out of time here, we have 2 more votes. I want to take a shower. First of all, transparency, honesty, it didn't exist. This is old school. And I'll tell you what, folks, as I always say, it's a minefield out there. For Treasure Coast Toyota, from me, they get an F.
Oh, boy. I knew that was coming. I had a feeling.
I'm gonna move up to a C- from a D-. I almost wanted to agree with Stu on the D-. Part of it is partly the fact that I don't want anyone to say it was sour grapes with us, and so I'll do them a favor, give them a C-. And again,
it can't be sour grapes for us because Agent Lightning is still going to take the Highlander she's ordering. So she's going to give the RAV4 to her daughter.
Okay, folks, thank you for tuning in. You're an important part of the show, as I say, every week. Tune in next week. We'll be right back here Saturday morning at 8 a.m.